Insecurity has been a long-standing issue in Nigeria, particularly in the north, with lives lost, communities displaced and property destroyed. One of the states most hit by armed banditry in the country is Kaduna State. But the Nigerian army has turned the tide against insecurity in the northwest state through unwavering commitment and courage. In our journalist hangout midweek special, Babajide Kolade Otitoju took a trip to the headquarters of the 1 Division of the Nigerian Army, Kaduna, to find out how the army has fared in the fight against insecurity in the area. Let's share the story with you.
Kaduna, northern Nigeria's political capital, has long been a melting pot of culture and commerce. Yet, in recent years, it has faced daunting security challenges. Terrorists and criminal elements have sought to spread fear, targeting economic infrastructure, transportation networks, and innocent civilians. But through the unwavering commitment and courage of the 1 Division Nigerian Army in Kaduna, the tide is turning. I recently visited the headquarters of 1 Division Nigerian Army to gain insight into the security situation and understand how troops have been confronting terrorists in the volatile region. The operational environment of 1 Division is vast and complex, stretching across 4 states. Terrorists and criminal elements have exploited dense forests like Kuyambana, Kamuku, and Breningwari as hideouts. But the Nigerian Army has stood resolute, adapting, innovating, and striking back.
I think Niger has not been dealt with, and it represents some of the biggest challenges that you have to deal with, not just because of its size, but the active nature of the terrorists in that area.
Without going to Niger State, which is the biggest state, just looking at Kaduna State, we have more than 15 forests. Benungwari is just one. There's Kamuku ahead of Benungwari. There's Yaji Forest. There's Kawara Forest. There's Raunako Forest. There's Kuduru Forest. There are so many forests. Even when you pass the Gwaska, I'm talking about Goronduse, there are a lot of forests between Goronduse and Farurwa. So the forests within these places are so numerous. The Benungwari forest you are talking about can be compared in terms of insecurity to what we call Yaji Forest, which is still in Igabi, but a little bit into still Benungwari. Benungwari is one of the biggest the troubled local governments we have in Kaduna State. So what we have been doing all this while, if you follow our presentation, we spoke about the horizontal escalation violence. And if I have to break down into pieces, it is bandit appear here, you are trying to tackle him, and he appears in another place. Yes. If I may go back a little, I will bring up the issue of Kuriga school children. We are actually out for operation during the Kuriga school children, and we are at a place called Puelo, where we had a joint meeting with 8 Division to do Operation Forest Sanity 2, which is what I said, operation between the 2 divisions to clear contiguous areas between them. But annoyingly, we are at Farurwa, just few kilometers to Benungwari, when we were told that they kidnapped the children in Kuriga. So you can imagine how close it is. And by the time we got to Benungwari, they went through the forest and appeared at Kampanondoka and moved to Zamfara State. So it is what we refer to as the escalation, horizontal escalation violence. You are touching here, they are touching another place, which as at that time you don't have a force in that place. And because they are using bikes, before you get there, they have gone through routes they know best to move out of your reach. Yes. So what we have been doing is what we call mobile unit concept. By mobile unit concept, we equally employ the use of motorcycles, and locally we have still the state government establishing the vigilante service. So we have a very active vigilante service that has actually been of great help to us. They are most important to us because they have knowledge of the ground.
In the challenging terrain of Breningwari, Lieutenant Colonel Abdulkadir Abdullah, commanding officer of the 2nd Battalion Kaduna and commander of Subsector 3, Breningwari, has led his troops from the front. His warrior ethos have not only resulted in the defeat of the terrorists, but also won the hearts and minds of the people. The terrorists, in their thousands, have sought to destabilize the region, but the reorganization of Operation Fansanyama has fortified the army's capability, leading to significant victories. Major General Meyerenso Sarazo is the General Officer commanding 1 Division here in Kaduna. One of the most significant developments under his leadership has been the seamless fusion of kinetic and non-kinetic strategies. He speaks on the challenges that he has had to face after assuming the role.
We had several issues of the explosions of these improvised explosive devices along the major routes or approaches leading to some of these terrorist enclaves, which either had been laid previously or they deliberately put in place, probably on realizing that troops were actually going to carry out an attack on some of their criminal hideouts. It was sad and very unfortunate that that particular challenge led to the loss of some of my very good gallant personnel, particularly in Niger State.
While kinetic operations involve the use of military force, the non-kinetic approach focuses on dialogue, reconciliation, and community engagement. The innovative strategy, he says, has yielded remarkable results, including the voluntary surrender of arms by top bandit leaders and the unconditional release of numerous hostages.
As at the end of December 2024, we had secured through the non-kinetic engagements with some of these terrorist groups about 142 kidnapped victims from custody of the criminals unconditionally, even though some family members later turned up to say we had, or they had previously made some ransom payments, but the criminals reneged on releasing their loved ones. That may be true, but as at when we took custody of them, when they were safely released to us, I tell you wholeheartedly that nothing was paid for anybody, directly or indirectly. We were able to get them reunited back with their families through the Kaduna State government and other agencies of government at the appropriate levels.
The GOC addresses and dispels misinformation suggesting that the military has downplayed the importance of kinetic actions. It reaffirms the balanced approach that has been instrumental in achieving these successes.
There were some misgivings or disinformation being spread out there that the military in particular in Kaduna State was downplaying the kinetic engagement with the terrorists, whom, as you well know, a lot of people may be aggrieved with them because of what they have done in the past, and then we are embarking on having discussion or negotiation with them. I think this is just half truth of what transpired and what is transpiring right now, because even as we speak right now, there are still kinetic operations being undertaken by some of the formations under my command in both Kaduna and Niger State, all in a bid to getting those ones that have not indicated any willingness to turn a new leaf in their lives by abandoning their criminal way of life to embracing the peace. So the truth is, kinetics operations are very well being undertaken, as well as opportunity also being given whenever the need arises for those that are willing to come and surrender to join in the de-radicalization program that the Defense Headquarters has already initiated steps.
Despite these achievements, concerns persist in southern Kaduna, fueled by deep-seated ethnic and religious tensions. The GOC acknowledges the complexity of the situation and has outlined proactive measures being taken to address these issues.
We never left out any part of Kaduna State or any part of the area of responsibility under me out of whatever we are doing. we've conducted several kinetics and non-kinetics operations in southern Kaduna, covering from Kajuru, Kachia, and exceeding beyond up to some border areas with Plateau State. And we recorded also successes and achievements in those areas. For instance, sometime in the third quarter of 2024, we were having issues in some two communities called Chibia 1 and Chibia 2. These are border communities between Kajuru and Kachia local government area of Kaduna State, where Chibia 1 were accusing community members of Chibia 2. And by the way, these people share ancestral history. They virtually speak the same language, the same religion, the same culture. But for some misunderstanding that have been brought between them by the criminal groups, Chibia 1 sees Chibia 2 as being collaborating or perpetrating crime and criminality along with some of these insurgent groups that were operating in that area. And so they became antagonistic to each other, such that the roads linking the two communities were even barricaded, that youths from the other community cannot cross over to the other one. We went there. I held a meeting with the community leaders, religious leaders, and the youth groups leaders in that place on the need for them not to allow the enemy, in this case the violent extremists and insurgents that were operating in that area, to divide their attention by fighting themselves instead of focusing on facing the common enemy that has been disturbing both communities. And one of the ways we facilitated that discussion, that they actually came to embrace each other, though there is still some underlying doubts in how they relate till today, was that we came up with a Football for Peace initiative, where I facilitated that I wanted youths from both Chibia 1, Chibia 2, Kachia, Kajuru to jointly raise one football team.
The road to lasting peace in Kaduna remains fraught with challenges. Yet, under Major General Saraso's visionary leadership, there is hope for a future defined by stability, unity, and prosperity. Babajide Kolade.
Beautiful report there. Well, I saw VKO, with the army officers, the civilian general. Beautiful reports there. But for relative peace to return to Kaduna and the neighboring state is almost like a miracle. But you were there. Tell us, what did the army leadership do differently to achieve that relative peace in those areas?
No, it's a combination of the kinetic and non-kinetic approach. I remember interviewing the Emir of Zaria. I went to see him, and then he said he would want the army to combine both approaches, because you can't just say, oh, because you're adopting the non-kinetic approach, then
you leave the
kinetic approach. There are some bandits that are naturally stubborn. They do not even want peace of any kind. So such people, you have to still go after them.
True.
When they experience unremitting bombardment, on their own they will start.
They might have a change of...
Yes, saying, okay, we want peace. I've seen it happen a number of times. Whenever they are facing so much bombardment from the armed forces, that's when they will suggest on their own that they are ready to lay down their arms.
Okay.
So what we have seen in Kaduna is the successful implementation of this dual approach to solving the problem of insecurity. And both are yielding results. Okay. It's not everywhere that bandits have laid down their arms. Okay. But in those places where they've not laid down their arms, the military...
bombardment is happening there.
They are continuing to do their work. And we are seeing success. That was why I referred to the commanding officer in the Gwari area, who has excelled you know, in the job that has been given. And it's the same thing we have seen even in the Giwa area of Kaduna, in Igabi, because I visited at least 10 local governments. And yes, you know, a lot of those local governments are far apart. I visited those areas, and I can attest to the fact that security has improved. And we are seeing tremendous yield. Look at Kaduna. Nigerians don't know, when I say there's prosperity in agriculture, they will think that, oh, it's part of supporting the government. We are not saying, if you have opportunity, try to grow something. Yeah. If you don't want to grow, it's your problem. In Kaduna today, farmers are dominating the Hajj list. So by local government, 225 people are going for Hajj. And as of 2 weeks ago, the number is growing. 225. Lere local government, 254. In Lere, they grow plenty of maize. It's along the road to Jos. In Ikara, 291. These people that you are seeing, they are largely farmers. More than 80% farmers. Kubau, 361. They are going for Hajj. Zaria, 315. Kaduna North, 63. That is the center of urban area. Yes, the heart of Kaduna town. You can see just 63 persons going. Kaduna South, 156. Part of Kaduna South is also urban. Then Giwa, 285. As of 2 weeks ago, I'm sure
it would have increased.
These are farmers. Some farmers are sending as many as 9 persons. They are sending, not just going, they are also sending sponsoring up to 9 people. Security has improved. People can access their farms, and output is growing.
And that's why they are
making money for them. When people ask the silly question, you said there is an improvement in security. These are clear signs that security has improved. It has never been this good. If security has not improved, will people be able to go to their farms?
Or even travel.
Those bandits
make money and travel.
Yes.
Make money and travel.
So you want to make money. One farmer from 3 crops, he made 1.450 billion in Brenengwari.
That's a
so
rise.
If there was not improvement in security in Brenengwari, would people be able to go to their farms? It used to be a real battleground.
Okay, as we wrap up, Asuko, your thoughts here.
The video tells it all. All those people have been doubting that security has not improved. Daily we keep coming up with videos for us to see. And look at the number of people traveling for Hajj.
It says a lot.
It speaks a lot that people are making money from farming.
From Kaduna.
Yes,
Kaduna is leading the country by far.
So people are making money and they are traveling. At the end of the day, I hope that those guys will even do videos and then send to us. Then we show them that these are farmers who have traveled.
Now the fight now is to sustain that.
I'm bringing a story about female farmers. Female tomato farmers in Kaduna. They are making millions. I'm bringing the story.
This is just heartwarming that the successes that we are recording, that the Nigerian army is recording, we just need to support them, give them all the support that they need.
Exactly. Beautiful report, by the way, Biko. The civilian general. I really like that part. Biko, thank you so much for having this conversation.
For having us.
Appreciate you as always. Okay, and we also look forward to more reports.
I like your ties.
It's not cheap.
It's not as cheap as what those guys are wearing.
The cheap side. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having this conversation. And also thank you to all the gentlemen and ladies, the back room, pressing the buttons so that we can have a beautiful show.